Hello everyone. For me today is a great pleasure and honor to introduce my next guest. She is Olga Sherrington and he is Joe Atkinson. They are from the Caring Institute, and today we are going to have a very deep conversation about how to be a modern parent. Welcome, Olga and Joe. Okay. Hello, Olga. Hello, Joe. And I am very curious about our conversation of today, and I am so excited too. And let's dive in. My first question is, how do you both create this the caring instinct, Olga or Joy? Where this idea came from?
Well, we both. I'll go if you like. We both studied at the Neufeld Institute, which is not very big around here, I suppose, but it was developed by a developmental psychologist called Gordon Neufeld. But it's in Canada, so you study online. So the way I studied was through like videos, and you sign up and you watch the video and you talk online and stuff like that. But normally you're talking with people in Canada as well. So I was always asking, is there anyone in England who's doing it? And they would always say, yeah, there's lots of people in England, but you never see them. And then I just saw Olga had posted something somewhere in the website, and yeah, I saw, and then so we just connected. And at first we were just talking about, because it's nice to talk to someone locally, but who's in your culture as well, and who about the teachings and stuff like that. And we kind of just bounced ideas around, and then it kind of went from there, didn't it?
Oh, okay,
yes, great. I should say the credit here goes to Joe, because I've got a small baby, and when we first got in touch, he was only 6 months old or something, so I had my hands full, and I was hoping to start something like the Caring Instinct. I had no name, the idea did not have much shape at all in my head when my youngest would grow a bit, like in a good 2-3 years. And then Joe appeared, and he's really got this attitude of, let's just give it a try, let's just play with it. And we gathered our first group in May and June. We ran a small
support
parenting group. Yes, conversations about preschoolers, and I loved it. And the Caring Instinct was born kind of out of it later, because we'd like to do more of this work.
Yeah. Yes, I think it was the best idea, guys. It was the best idea, because this is a good contribution for the community, not only for England, I think for the world. It's very important what you both are doing. And my first question, Olga, I don't know.
Oh, I've got an answer though, but go on.
That depends entirely on how much sleep I've had.
Okay.
But do you mean how are we as parents for our own?
Yes. You need to have good rest if you want to show up in a good way to your children.
No, I'm joking, but yes, I'm joking, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, that's a very big question. I think when my eldest is 7, and before he was born, I was reading. I'd been a preschool teacher, so I'd worked with children before. And then just as I was preparing to become a mother, I was reading a lot on parenting, because the paradigms really changed for our generation. And I think the main shift is what in the older generation is, if there's a crying child, and the response would be, oh, never mind, it's going to be okay, and all that. And what we almost the norm is now in our generation is to acknowledge this a little bit, to say, oh, you're upset, I'm sorry, this didn't work out for you. So with this script for today's parents is more to pause and make space for this emotion. And it doesn't, I was thinking about it. It's a weird idea. I think we're the only animal who can think something so core as emotions, and we can, depending on a generation or depending on who you ask in the same generation, we have different ideas of the function of it, or that's really wild, but we do. And it doesn't mean that our parents, you know, they loved us just as much as we love our children, and they wanted the best for us, but their idea of the best was, don't let those sad, difficult feelings take root. Try to skip to the good bit, try to force yourself into something more positive. And we try to acknowledge these feelings a bit more. So it was important for me to learn the new script, so to say. But then at the end of the day, you don't want to be using anyone's script, you know, as a parent. It's probably the most important, one of the most important relationships in your life, the one with your child. You want to be authentic, but you also want to do right by them. And I've realized, and I come to realize, so much depends on the relationship. The exact same script, the exact same words can be completely different in different relationships. Something as simple as, I don't know, go wash your hands can be like, oh yes, mommy, I'll go wash my hands, no problem, or can really rub us the wrong way. Well, who are you to boss me around? It all depends on that. So that's where I am.
Yes, it's very important, you know, because as you said, every relationship is different. And we can find many books about how to raise a kid, you can be the best parent, but we can read, but at the same time, you have to make your own. You have to make your own rules, your more experience with your kids, isn't it? Something like that, I think. I'm not a parent.
Yeah, and I think we would both say that that's even more important than what you get from the books as well, to find it in yourself. You know, to find your way, to find your path, and you know, you might not know what you're doing. We don't know what we're doing many times, and but the answer, to know that the answer will be in you though still, and you'll find it, is for me much better than having it in a book.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Something else you want to add to this?
Well, I would say, but how do you show up? I mean, I know that, like, the textbook answer for me would be like, you know, available, curious, playful, these kind of things. But really, I mean, I think it's better to share, you know, the other side of it. Even though we preach, you know, and are we teaching? I'm not sure we're teaching, but sharing stuff. This, you know, a lot of the times to show up, you know, stressed, tired, like Olga said, absent. And it's hard. And you know, you can be doing something like this, teaching and sharing with it, and then next minute you're with your kid, but you're not with your kid or something like that. You're
your mind
absent, like I said, or I'm stressed, I'm tired, and you know, it can be that can happen. And I don't know if you see, whenever you see someone in this kind of you know, an authority position on a subject or teach, you always maybe you assume that that's what they do. Like a car mechanic will have a great run car in his house, but it's not always the way. So I'd highlight that, I think.
Do you have any techniques when you have a bad day, for example? After that you have a dinner with your family. How do you do before if you have a bad day? How do you change your mood?
The best thing for me is always come down to that relationship. So to even just to notice that, to know that you're having a bad day, and to just recognize it, really, because if you can do that, you can get a bit of space between it. Whereas if you don't do that, you're really in the bad day as well. And you know, someone could even you might even say, no, I'm not having a bad day, just because you can't see it. But just to notice these things as they go, and you know, our culture in the UK and a lot of places around it, it's not set up for parenting. It's not set up to make parenting convenient, easy. We've become isolated. Just many families, just one parent, two if you're lucky, grandparents away. So it's hard. So just to see it for what it is.
Oh, okay. This is very important.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Olga.
But having that, I think having a good default does help. If you're well, that's how it worked for me. All this literature I read, for example, when my child was really young, it does help to sort of get the basic responses that you will be repeating 50 times a day to a good default level, so that even if you are really, really tired or stressed, you will still you will still know that sort of more empathic script, that you still understand that your child also has room for their feelings, you know.
Yeah.
So even if it's at the very, like in the very corner of your consciousness, it's still there, even on a very bad day. Yeah.
Yes.
And on a good day, you can be
easier.
Playful and supportive, and it just comes natural, and you have to think about it.
Because life is not perfect. So we have this life that sometimes we have a good day, bad day, and sometimes it's very difficult to find the balance. In a week, for example, you have bad days, and it's very important to recognize that day, because you have to set a boundaries, no? When you are with your kids, when you are at work, when your friends, probably that can work, you know, when you know your boundaries, because in that way you don't bring to your kids your problems. If they can see you with absence, or daddy, where you are you here?
Yeah, exactly. You have then you're recognizing where you are, and you can, you know, even though you might overstep them, you're more aware of them when you have, So
this is very important.
And even
no, go ahead. No,
I'm just thinking now about the car mechanic and the car, but the car mechanic, or even if their own car is on its last legs and something's wrong, they can notice that something's going wrong, and they can if their own car is on its last legs and something's wrong, they can notice that something's going wrong, and they can pause and troubleshoot. And goodness, it's nearly every day that at the end of the day, when the kids are in bed, my husband and I will be thinking, oh, like our eldest is struggling a little bit there, and our youngest, and we do this, and we've shown up like this or like that, and we see where there is a disconnect, and we can talk about it, and we can sort of change course, and we can sort of make a resolution together, and we think, we talk about where our responses come from. I can say, well, when I was small, I was never allowed to do X, Y, and Z, you know, to not finish my food, to be wasteful, whatever it is. And now I'm struggling with it as a parent. So we can sort of readjust a little bit, but if the relationship is alive, then it's easy to do that, because we are tuned to the child, and we can.
Yes, this is very, very, very true. And how the mind of a child works? How you both are parents, so you have experience, you work with kids, so how the mind of a child works?
Well, I can say one thing that's quite maybe simple to get, but that I found really useful as a parent and as a therapist, is that generally under like a children, when they were young, they can only have one thought, feeling, or emotion at a time. I find that really useful to hold on to, and to make. What I mean by that is, if you take an emotion like anger, if they experience, if I don't give them a cookie, they might experience anger. And in that moment, that's all they experience, anger. They don't have access to love or patience or anything like that. They just have anger. And you see that come out in the tantrum as well. And it can be quite scary for parents as well to just see a child just in that anger. And then, however long it takes, they'll move on, and then they're back into the love, and it can just change. The emotions, everything's so pure, and they can hop around, and it's like really like a whirlwind of things. But the reason I find that useful is because normally you see parents or people almost trying to, if you see a young child experience anger, we may think it's our responsibility to kind of teach them the appropriate response, like, okay, you don't have a cookie, you should be grateful that you've got dinner instead, or you shouldn't be angry about not having a cookie, you should be respectful. And we want to move them to these things, but we want to move them really earlier than they're capable of doing it. And we don't come with it means we can't come alongside that emotion or that feeling. And when we do that, the child only really has one option. They'll just try and kind of push down on their emotion and show up, kind of act the way they're meant to. And it just it doesn't bode well for the unfolding of like an emotionally healthy, balanced person as they grow up. So that's what I find really useful. Young children are under the age of 5, they can only have one thought, feeling, emotion at a time.
It's very important to teach our kids that they can show off their emotion, isn't it? It's very important that if they want to cry, they want to cry. If they want to feel anger or want to be happy, it's very important that they can recognize these feelings.
Yeah, for sure. Because they happen to us anyway. So we either have space for them or we don't. And especially if you're young. And so, yeah, it's so important to, and before recognize, just to have space for them, and then the recognition comes. But yeah, it's really important.
And the control comes even later.
Yeah.
Definitely after 5. We've just had a webinar on this, on how the child's mind works, and that it can hold only one thought or emotion at a time. And then when they all start to mix, and children are capable of more complex behavior and more complex thinking and feeling, it's on our page, and it is on our YouTube channel. I'll just plug that.
I want to have a look. And this is very important, because sometimes I can see some of my cousins that they say, don't do that, don't cry, stop doing that, because if they want to cry, we have to let it go. Because it's very important, because even for us that we are adults, if we want to feel, if we don't feel well, we have to try to show off our emotion, because it's very natural, because in that way after that we can feel better.
Yeah. And even if you take the word emotion, is in Latin to motion, move, so it just wants to move through us, and if we allow it to move, we have that just space underneath it to be more present. And but if we don't have it moving, it will kind of almost takes control of our lives, and we can just hold on to it. So if you don't cry, cry, a safe place for crying.
Yeah, that's very important, right? And what are the type of parenting style? How many styles? Because each family is different. And what you can say about that? How many styles of parenting we can find? Olga?
Go on, Olga.
Well, there are as many styles as there are parents, but of course we can generalize a little bit here. So the more Oh no, it's I can't. I start thinking within the culture, you know. Well, let's try to think within the culture.
Okay.
So if we think, and please, I'm actually not English. I've lived here for a few years, and my family is English, but I'm Ukrainian. So please, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. But my idea is that the sort of older generation really one of the high values was this gentleman like behavior, which involves like full control of the emotions, or as few emotions as possible, or even showing any emotion might be seen as weakness. And I think women got away with it a little bit more as weaker emotional creatures. And of course, this is a very shallow and of course real human beings of any time are deeper than that. But if this is the value in society, then parents are driven to give their children the best fighting chance, you know, in society. So if they conform to that standard, to what is seen as successful, then that's what we need to do. So and then emotional expression was kind of pruned out to create this stiff upper lip person. Because at the same time, gentleman, here I'm contradicting myself, it's gentle, someone who actually is kind and protective when appropriate towards the weaker, and generous, and but at the same time, someone who is in full control of their emotions. Is that where am I? Are you thinking Olga's on a wild historical fantasy? Or are you?
Well, you can go in a lot of directions with that, can't you? I mean, there's so many different styles.
There's so many different styles.
And
yes,
but that is one way to go in this more. And then you will have to. In this paradigm, you can't encourage emotional expression because you are afraid of it. You're afraid it will harm your child. They need to learn control. That is the basic idea there, that emotional control should be learned as soon as possible, rather than this is something to mature into, which is the developmental approach, which we both really believe in.
Yes, because something in common that each parent must strive or must have with their kids. Something in common. Yeah, we have different kind of styles of parenting, but something in common that all parents must know.
I would say maybe intuition. What do you think? To be really close to your as close as possible to your intuition. And intuition is kind of knowledge without words. So the way I would make sense of that is you're really connected to your body, to your feelings, to your emotions yourself. And because what we would both say is that each parent, every child, the best bet is the parent themselves, not an expert or someone else. It's them. And why is that? Because they're connected to the child the most. They know their child the most, and with that connection, they'll be able to intuit the what to do's and the how to deal with things better than anyone else. So if you can really cultivate that relationship with that in yourself, I think that's really essential.
It's in us, that caring instinct. We're born with it, and not every parent is placed perfectly every new parent to have a child at this particular moment. And I don't know that it's impossible to say statistically, but I would then volunteer that it's probably a minority of parents who are the perfect place in their life, who've done their own, been to therapy and done their own work, and are in a perfect place financially, societally, have the support system. These are really the lucky few. So many people have a child and then they grow with a child. I mean, even if you are really stable financially and have done years of therapy and can meditate for 20 hours non-stop, you're probably in for a surprise when you have your own little one. So everyone is on a journey, and it's a humbling one. But it's in us to be the answer. We're enough. And a teenage parent might be as enough or more of an answer that their little one needs if they can tap into this caring instinct within them than someone who is seemingly in a much better position to parent.
Okay, yes. Because sometimes people don't need to be too much prepared, or actually, as when we have kids, we growing with them too. Is something that I can see in my friends and my family. This is very important. What are the 5 basic needs of a child? 5 basic needs. What you can say about that?
Number 1, 3, 2, 1. What do we say?
Yes, needs. Especially when they are very
Attachment.
young. Attachment.
But that's, as I say, we see the child as we see the human being, and the way we learned in our the Neufeld Institute, the developmental approach, I think we've really seen that our preeminent need is attachment. There's a very distressing, actually, video of that experiment decades ago in the Hallows monkeys that shows. Well, we don't have to watch it. But it's a valid scientific experiment in psychology that shows that we go for attachment, for love, over survival, over food. So we are used to thinking, oh, the child first needs food, shelter, safety, warmth. But actually, attachment is what we're wired to go for, and that will hopefully provide the rest.
Yeah, it's kind of like nature's instinctual way of looking after all the other, let's say there are 5 basic needs, like shelter, food, comfort, these things. But the reason why attachment is the preeminent the one, because it's the instinct. So just the fact that I think baby will track like mother's movements from very early on, and so it like attach their senses onto the mother from the very beginning, but the mother will take care of, or whoever's looking after the baby will take care of those needs. So I think we'll just take it down to that one attachment, especially for children, because that's the drive within us that takes care of all the other needs.
After this, no, go.
And if you start seeing this drive for attachment, then it explains so much. Then it explains things we do that don't serve us at all. Goodness, this is not in our best interest. But we choose to, I don't know, a teenager who might be drawn to, I don't know, a boyfriend who is abusive and hurting them and completely bad for them, but the attachment. It's the same as during COVID, the elderly people who were told, do not leave the house, do not see your children, do not see your grandchildren. And all they wanted was to see their children and grandchildren. Or, a dog that won't leave its master's grave, even though people will be offering food and shelter and whatnot, but attachment. And I bring up a dog because we are wired in the same way as mammals.
Yeah,
I have another way of looking at it as well. If you have anyone that has children, when we hear like the fight and flight response, very kind of mainstream, and you hear it. And when you're with a child, if something happens, like an alarm goes off or anything else, you'll notice what they'll usually do is just they'll orient towards their attachment. So they will look towards whoever's looking after them, if that's the mum or the dad, or whoever's in charge, and that's the instinct that will take over. It won't be to run or to fight or to freeze. It will be to go to the attachment, and this this dynamic gets left out of so many of the theories that that come out of there, but it can really be underneath a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I have an example of that.
Okay.
When my youngest he was only crawling, and we got this was it Christmas? We got this electric toothbrush. And I was trying out this new electric toothbrush, and it's buzzing, and it's new for him and a bit threatening because it's suddenly a loud thing that's I'm holding, and he is crying. He's in this cried, and at the same time he's crawling to me, even though I'm the one holding that electric toothbrush, but I'm also mom, so he is crying and he's scared, but he's going towards the threat because
attachment trumps.
Attachment,
Yes, yes, because kids are very attached, especially the mom, that's true, but more I think the mom. But this is from the nature. I think this is very natural.
Yes, it's very natural. You don't have to think it, or it just
happens. And this generation is very difficult to raise a kid. What do you think about technology with kids? Because what age is better to give them mobile, tablet, whatever?
Well, that's following on from the last, when we say attachment is the kind of the preeminent need. A lot of what are we generally most worried about technology? It's kind of the social media, this kind of thing. It's all the things which actually lighten up the attachment circuitry in the brain. Like, so if you see like Facebook, you get likes, and you go on, and we go on to check who's other people, or to check if someone's messaged us as well, and it feeds off the attachment links. And in a society where we have kind of definitely in England, maybe in many places around the world, we've kind of neglected the attachment, all the ritual that came around developing attachments. For instance, we encourage parents to send children to nursery so we can go to work early on. We have small time, you get back to work as soon as possible. We encourage independence. We kind of encourage, in many ways, the opposite of attachment, to go your own way. So we kind of push children away from us, and then we have this thing with technology that comes from, and it's kind of, it could go anywhere. It could have gone anywhere. Technology could have gone so many things, but one of the things that's really grown is that social media things, and it's kind of mopping up on those attachments, and children, and this happens to adults as well, kind of we just flock towards it, because for me it's a sign of we're not fulfilling those needs as in our daily life as well, naturally. So yeah, I mean, I would try and steer clear from it for as long, because the way those companies make money as well is by keeping you on there for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, go on.
Yeah.
It's good that there have been interviews with people who are behind social media, the creators, the designers of it, who say, I'm not giving my child.
Yeah, they never have. They always say the same, don't they? My kids aren't allowed. My kids aren't allowed an iPad.
And
because they know how it works.
Yeah.
And it's important to realize that they hire armies of psychologists and neuroscientists who design these technologies in a really addictive way. They know how to hijack that attachment circuitry for the purposes of, not for the purposes of making us happy, making us connected, forging some real like human bonds. It's for the purposes of making money for those powerful corporations. And at the same time, when the question comes, all my friends have, it won't be Facebook by then. I don't think it will. All my friends have what, TikTok? All my friends have, well, maybe we don't even know what it will be in a few years' time. What do we say, and how long is our relationship weighty enough to sort of counteract that pull? But a really important one still is trust. And again, the relationship, it is the only thing we have.
Yes, you need to have a good relationship with your kids. You need to have a very, you need to feel open to have conversation with your kids, to tell them what is important about social media and everything, you know. I think that is
especially especially going into teenagehood. If we are too forceful, they'll just hide and find a way. So we need a relationship.
Exactly. We can't just say you can't use it ever. Because there'll come a time when they have. So it's that balance of, for me, it's my kids are still young, 5 and 3, so we've not had to go there yet, so I've not experienced it personally, but my intention is to keep them away from it for as long as possible. But then when it starts to come into their world, then we're gonna have that, hopefully we'll have that open relationship, and we can explore it together.
Because kids, for example, when they go to school, they compare. No, they come to your house and they say, "Mommy, my friend have mobile. They have new mobile. They have new tablet. They have and they start to comparing their life with the friend's life." Because I can see that in my friends'
babyhood, and can't wait to be able to talk to their children and play board games with them. And I think the same teenagers, some teenagers, I taught teenagers and I loved it. They are, you know, it's a privilege to be a teacher and a parent in the life of such a young person. They bring fresh perspective. They're just awesome. And obviously for so many, it's a difficult age. And sometimes, you know, sometimes the disconnect starts when children have their own children and rethink parenting, and some suddenly come back with, Mom and Dad, you did everything wrong, and I'm going to do everything completely different, and please don't talk to my children.
Wow, this is hard.
Well, sometimes what I notice as well is, as a therapist as well, sometimes if something happened in your own life at a certain age of a child, it can be really hard when your children get to that age as well, and that could be whatever whatever age it was. So it can be so, yeah, that's a very hard question to have a exact answer. One example is going to be, well, however, how old are your children now? That's the hardest age.
Yeah, probably, yes. Because I think if you raise in the perfect, with a good manner, maybe you can have a good teenager, a good adult son or daughter. I think it depends how you raise. I think from the beginning we must try to be the best parent. I think if you want the best result.
That's the only thing we can do.
Yeah. Yes, I think. I know when I'm gonna be a parent, I'm gonna call both of you. I think if you can give me some advice.
You wouldn't need it.
Oh my God!
Well, you're obviously really welcome, but to get in touch. But at the same time, I think what we're trying to say, what we're trying to do is empower parents and probably validate that intuition that's inside us, but that just often gets a little bit lost in our culture.
Yeah. That would be our aim. That would be our aim, to bring you to try and bring you back to yourself.
There's been a study with teenage mothers when I think that there was an experiment, whether it was done in a hospital just before they would give birth, or some kind of course, or some kind of support for teenage mothers. And there was the control group that there was a group of teenage mothers who were given who were taught practical skills, how to swaddle the child, how to feed the child, how many hours they should aim for sleep and all that. And there was a group that was only given affirmations. You are everything your child needs. You've got it. You're their mom, even if there's no, the dad's out of the picture, the family might have turned away. Your child's got everything they need in you. And the group that received those affirmations went on to be more confident, happier mothers. And they, because they had this little bit of confidence and belief in themselves, they found out all about those practical skills.
This is very important, like a mindset coaching course.
Yes, that's something that's your work, isn't it?
Yes, I work in this. I have clients. I am a mindset coach, so I try to change the world. Yes, with this with small steps, because the world needs people like you, and you both are great, definitely great human beings.
You're very kind.
Thank you.
No, yeah, definitely, guys. And what you can add, we are at the end of our conversation, our tea conversation. I don't know if you can give to the audience some advice, or just where they can find you online. Maybe.
Yeah, so we post. We're fairly new, but we're posting regularly. We've got courses coming up and other things planned, support group planned and stuff like that. So we're the Caring Instinct. We're on Facebook, YouTube.
Instagram.
Somewhere else? Oh, Instagram. That's it. We're on Instagram.
And of course, our podcast, The Caring Instinct, is on Spotify, is on Apple Podcasts, is everywhere you can get podcasts. We're there.
Yeah, and if you could follow us, give us a like, share us, we'd be very grateful.
Yeah, definitely. I think this conversation is gonna be a very good contribution to the community. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you, Erica.
It was very nice. Thank you. If you like this kind of content, give me a like, leave me a comment, share it with your family and friends. And if you like a daily motivational and inspirational quote, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and don't forget, you are your first love.